Hello, this is the lateral surface of the brain, including some Brodmann regions. And first of all, we should look at the bigger structures, and then we will look at smaller ones. So let's go. First of all, there is the central sulcus, which is here, which literally subdivides kind of anterior part, which is prefrontal cortex, which is big. Actually, this schematic is slightly incorrect, but it doesn't matter. Just schematically speaking, this is frontal cortex, this is central sulcus, and it subdivides frontal cortex from parietal one. This is parietal cortex. Then we have lateral sulcus, which is here, and it subdivides, or it is separates kind of. It is separates frontal cortex and parietal cortex from temporal one. Here is temporal cortex, and then lastly we have parietal sulcus, which is here. This is actually a piece because on the middle surface it is kind of here. Yes, parietal. Oh no, parietal sulcus. And there it is. And there's parietal lobule, and there's occipital one. And as you might know, occipital one is responsible for vision. This is very big and very beautiful pole or lobule, which is cortex. So then, back to prefrontal cortex. It's a very big cortex, and it has basically Brodmann area 4, which is primary motor cortex, and it's also called precentral gyrus. Precentral gyrus because here this is precentral gyrus, and behind central sulcus there is postcentral gyrus. Basically, pre and postcentral gyrus. So Brodmann region number 4. Then Brodmann region number 6, which is premotor area, kind of this, and there's also supplementary motor area. They're slightly different. If I'm not mistaken, this is kind of premotor area, and somewhere below there is supplementary one. And there is Brodmann region 8, which is, if I'm not mistaken, this is eye fields, which is region which is responsible for eye movement. But first of all, okay, we have three gyri, such as superior frontal gyrus, middle frontal gyrus. Again, this is anatomically this is not correct. This is just schematic. And inferior frontal gyrus. Inferior frontal gyrus includes three subdivisions, kind of pars orbitalis. I'm sorry, pars orbitalis, pars triangularis, which is here, and pars orbicularis, which is here. Okay, Brodmann region 9, which is dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, and also Brodmann region 46, 9 and 46 is also, this whole region is dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. Dorsolateral, and there's also ventrolateral, because dorsal and ventrolateral. Then region 44 and 45, these are Broca region. This is involved in speech and maybe even much more. I don't know exactly because there's some. I remember me reading a long time ago that the whole system, like Broca region and Wernicke region, which is here, they are definitely connected. But I mean that this old model and new model can be slightly more complex. But you can learn it on its own. This actually can be your homework, if you will. So as I said before, lateral sulcus here, and it has some subdivisions, which is ascending ramus and horizontal ramus, which subdivides all of these subdivisions of the inferior prefrontal gyrus. Well, region 9 and 46, dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, then region 10, which is anterior frontal cortex, kind of, or prefrontal, I should say. Region 11 is a part of orbitofrontal cortex, which I showed before, which is here. This is the bottom surface of the brain, orbitofrontal cortex. And region 11 kind of here. I actually show it here again. Orbitofrontal cortex. Region 10, which is slightly superior, 11, 12 on the lateral side, 13 kind of behind intermediate lateral side or part, and 14 is the most medial one, which is gyrus rectus actually, rostral part and caudal part. And again, this is 11, and there's 10, and all of that stuff just going underneath or at the bottom. So region 47, This is just orbital part of the prefrontal gyrus or frontal gyrus, inferior frontal gyrus. This is here. Well, temporal cortex, which is here. Temporal cortex can be subdivided into three main gyrus, which is superior temporal gyrus, middle temporal gyrus, and inferior temporal gyrus. Well, region 20 is just inferior temporal gyrus. 21 mid. No, I'm sorry. Inferior temporal gyrus 20, 21 middle temporal gyrus, and 22 this is superior temporal gyrus. And it's also important because it is a part of Wernicke area. Again, Brodmann region here, Wernicke region somewhere here. They are connected and they highly and directly and only the only structures which are solidly involved into speech production. And if you're interested in, they are mostly based on a left side of a brain. It doesn't mean that everything in a brain is highly wise on the different sides, but in this case, yes, it is strongly wise on the left side if you're right-handed, and oppositely if you're left-handed, it is supposed to be lying on a right hemisphere. But this is actually rare, I guess. Well, region 41 and 42 are very, very interesting. 41 and 42. They actually lying inside of lateral sulcus. So, more about lateral sulcus. Lateral sulcus is actually has some little hole or little cave there in vagination. And there is, you can imagine, little area. I can show it here. So, let's take a cross section on the brain, kind of here, cross section. And we're gonna look inside. This is lateral side. This is lateral sulcus. This is temporal gyrus, which is superior temporal gyrus, inferior, middle, and inferior kind of. And again, there is region 20, 21, 22, and 41 lies inside, as you can see. 41 lies here, and 42 lies here, somewhere there. And this region primarily involved into audition because this side is primary audio cortex. I guess 41 is primary and 42 is secondary, meaning that there is first synaptic connection and there is second synaptic connection. Yeah. Oh, actually, 22 actually might be also involved into auditory cortex. I don't remember. It might be true. It actually might be tertiary or association area because, as you know, each sensory modality must have association area. Well, back to the circuit. This is temporal lobe. Then parietal lobe, which is, I'm sorry, which is here. It is, first of all, it is supposed to be subdivided into kind of three regions, which is postcentral gyrus, which is primarily involved into sensation. And for me, this is one of the most interesting regions because my body is so sensitive and I so like to touch myself into different places, especially some places. Oh, doesn't matter. It is very interesting, and this is responsible for sensation. And as you can see, this is much more complex than it might look. This one gyrus is actually subdivided into at least three regions, and it's in fact actually more than that. But first region in the middle, which is basically this is primary motor, no, primary sensory cortex. This is region 1, this is 2 and 3. And if I'm not mistaken, third region is actually subdivided into kind of 3 alpha and 3 beta, or 3A and 3B. Let me show you something. It's been a while since I last time been reviewing it, but many years ago I created this beautiful circuit. So again, this is parietal part, and this is primary sensory cortex. And as you can see, this is S1 and S2, basically Brodmann region 1, 1, 2, and 3. And as you can see, yes, third region is divided to A and B, and there are some reasons for that. Again, this is called post-central gyrus. And as you can see, at the dorsal part of the parietal cortex, we have some other sensory association cortex, meaning that there is primary synaptic connection, and then there is synaptic connections with some other sensory modalities, such as auditory, which is here, or vision, which is here, maybe some motor stuff, which is modulation kind of. Yeah, how it looks. And there's that region is actually called insula, as you can see. Well, let me tell it differently. So speaking about insula, as I said, this region 43 is actually lies there. This is called insula, and again, as I said before, it lies literally here deeper because these are cortices. There is a lateral sulcus, and region 43 lies somewhere here. It's not big region. I mean, there are some more regions, but if you will, or if you're interested, the function of this insular cortex, it is actually very important because it is mostly involved into your body sensations, like internal, yeah, basically internal sensations. Uh, I'm not sure which exactly, but it's very interesting. And there is, and region 43 is responsible for gustatory signals or gustation, or I should say, this is primary gustatory cortex. It is responsible for perception of taste. Well, this is first part of parietal cortex. Then this part, which is kind of more caudal, is subdivided into superior parietal lobule 5-7 and inferior one. And again, it's slightly incorrect because these two regions, which is angular region 39 and 40 supramarginal region, these are supposed to be slightly bigger. They kind of supposed to occupy this whole region. But again, this is just for sake of schematic. Well, these subdivisions uh, are separated by intraparietal sulcus, which is here. Intraparietal sulcus. Again, superior parietal lobule and inferior one, which is consist of angular gyrus and supramarginal gyrus. And Rodman area 7 is responsible for visual motor visual motor coordination here. And 39 and 40 regions actually might be involved, or likely, highly likely involved into Wernicke region, like 22, 40, and 39. This whole region can be a Wernicke area, somewhere there, definitely. And occipital cortex. Again, this is not entirely precise. I'm not sure, but it's somehow like that. I mean, superior or occipital gyrus, middle occipital gyrus, and inferior occipital gyrus. It can be not entirely correct, but I think it's pretty correct. Well, I mean, what should we know? Region 17 is primary visual cortex. 18 is secondary visual cortex, meaning here is first synaptic connection, there is second, and region 18 is association visual cortex, which associates with sensation of the body, with audio, and something else, definitely. And again, this is middle surface of the brain. Again, region 17, it's slightly different, but it just rotates in this way. Not rotates, but it going inwards, it's kind of different way. 17 primary, secondary here and here. Oh no, 17 primary, 18 secondary here and here, and 19 here and here. This is a tertiary or just association cortex, and separated by calcarine sulcus. You're actually supposed to see part of it on the lateral side, probably, maybe just a little bit. I'm not sure, but there might be parietal occipital sulcus, which is here. Oh no, yes, I'm sure there are parietal occipital sulcus, which subdivides these two lobules, but there is also transverse occipital sulcus, which is here, this one. I'm not sure. I mean, this is precise, but there might be just slightly different position of it. And there's also lateral occipital sulcus, which is here. I'm not sure which regions it subdivides. Again, this schematic can be not entirely correct. You can learn it on its own. It is your homework, actually. Let's back to some other sensory cortex for a little bit, because in my opinion, this is very interesting. I'm just been learning that for a long time, but let's review it together. So again, postcentral gyrus, which is responsible for sensation of the body. Basically, all of your skin signals coming here. This is called S1, and there is also a small region S, which is called S2. It is primary. S1 is primary, meaning first connections, synaptic connection, and S2 is a secondary, which is second synaptic connection. And this region is actually associatory or association cortex, which is third kind of. And this is also called pars opercularis. And this is actually small, yeah. This is small, this is somewhere here. I can show you there. Again, post-central gyrus, and somewhere here, maybe a little bit here, actually, there's S2. So input incoming here into S1, then in going into S2, and it also might go directly to posterior parietal cortex, as we can see. This is posterior parietal cortex, which is kind of here, also this one, and then this one can go to primary motor cortex directly, and this region also can go there directly. There's so many connections, really. This is kind of difficult to understand. It is not precise, but I mean it is very close to reality, because I remember very good sources from which I've been learning that. Let's continue. So post-central gyrus going mostly to S2, which is from here to here, because this is secondary. Then secondary can go to insula, which is anteriorly and deeper into lateral sulcus. Into insula, and from insula it can go to amygdala and entorhinal cortex issue. If you wonder what is amygdala is here approximately. This is amygdala. And amygdala is involved into emotions, not only fear. It is much more. It is mistaken to say that this is only fear. This is basically emotions. This is a huge center. And from insula it also can go to entorhinal cortex, and from entorhinal cortex it can go into hippocampus. But I guess that there is much more, really. This is just very simple circuit. There is much more complexity, but these can be the most important one. The whole idea is that it is going into primary ones and into secondary ones and into association area. This is the most important this is the most important thing. And one of the most important function is that after this, it is mostly supposed to go to precentral gyrus, which is responsible for primary motor cortex, because sensory input, as you know, as everyone knows, modulates motor activity. Basically, this is whole circuit. This is strong connection, because this sensory part is supposed to be modulate motor activity. This is basically the main reason of all of these subdivisions and this movement of inputs, signals. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something. I can be not entirely precise because I just decided to review it with you, and I've been learning that a long time ago. I don't know why for during all of those years I didn't do that before. I was so scared and I was kind of foggy. I actually know a question answer. I know answer. The answer is probably nutrition, because my nutrition was so bad, and now each year by year I'm changing it and I feel better. So if you want to change your brain, change your nutrition. Thank you for your attention.